Hello everyone and welcome to my morning report chart appraisal on Friday the 13th of January with me, Rich Perry, market analyst at Handtech Markets. We've got a slightly dollar negative sort of move that is developing again on these European markets, early doors, or European session I should say. And that move has sort of been coming about since the Trump press conference a couple of days ago, where we saw a complete turnaround on dollar strength, sharply low. Although it bounced off the lows yesterday, it's still under pressure, and that's sort of been driven by these sort of falling treasury yields. Again, treasury yields just dropping away again early doors today. You've got a slight sort of consolidation on the 210 spread, but I think that if that starts to track lower again, that would certainly put the dollar back under pressure. We're seeing a bit of a consolidation on commodity prices. This is the oil price when it comes up, oil price, which is just sort of consolidating yesterday's rebound, but sort of oil is it's an odd one. It's sort of trading almost in a range, I suppose you could argue. It's not really giving too much the direction, but certainly I think the dollar is under a bit of pressure, and that's sort of reflected through the forex majors at the moment. Now, in terms of equity markets, we're slightly positive, and that's coming back. That's coming on the back of the Chinese trade data that came out overnight. Mixed on the sort of overall levels, I suppose you could argue, because exports were better, exports were worse, imports were better. But the market's sort of taking the glass half full on the imports data, which was 3.1%, which sort of helps to drive sort of the demand for commodities, and that's why we're sort of pushing higher a bit today. Now, in terms of your data we got this afternoon, we're looking out for the US data on retail sales, PPI, and also the Michigan sentiment. You've got retail sales at 130, 0.5% growth expected on the month, and PPI expected to drop back to 1.5% on the year on the core data. Michigan sentiment at 3 o'clock at 98.5%. Let's just quickly show you those. We've got the retail sales 0.5% growth. PPI back at 1.5%. That's still pretty positive after last month's better sort of improvement to 1.6. But look at this on the 98.5 on the Michigan sentiment would be the highest since that January 2004 level. So that would be a strong data release there. So this afternoon, I think we can get some direction off these data points. So in terms of my chart today, it's the DAX, and the DAX has been sort of moving sideways in the past sort of couple of weeks, really, not really getting in too much direction. We sort of look to be gaining a bit of direction off Wednesday's session, but it sort of reversed and fell back again, and it certainly looks as though it is under a little bit of sort of a ranging conditions at the moment. But look at these momentum indicators falling away on the stochastics and the RSI. It's sort of putting a little bit of pressure on. Yes, we've had a bit of a jump up today, but it is interesting that we're not really seeing that move sort of reflected on the momentum indicators. So the under pressure, I suppose you could argue, that we're getting at the moment is sort of got the hourly chart here, where we can sort of see this little jump overnight back towards the sort of the middle of this trading band. You've got a resistance around 11,600, but generally speaking, you're sort of talking about still, I think, a range-bound market. The RSI on the hourly is just pulled back above 40 again. Sort of stochastics and MACD lines are very much sort of rangy, so I don't really think you're still getting too much direction at all off this market, and I think we can continue to play the range. So we'd be looking out for a failure underneath 600, would sort of continue to sort of pull you back towards maybe the lows around 11,520. That yesterday's low was 11,492, and below that you're sort of looking back at the 400 level, 11,400. So I wish you good luck in your trading today. Still pretty range bound on the DAX, and I'll speak to you later. Thank you.